I'm not breaking the law.
You out because you
No, they don't.
exactly
No, they don't.
You're violating the
No, they
staff
don't.
members.
I have a constitutional right to record in public. It's called the First Amendment. It's called the First Amendment. You know what the Constitution is? The highest law of the land. You can't put a fucking library's policy over the Constitution. Are you crazy? You swore over to the Constitution. You ain't swear over to the library's policy. And if they deny me public services, I'm gonna sue them. If you violate my rights, I'm gonna sue you. You ain't swear over to the library's policy. You forgot what your oath is to? The Constitution. Smug ass. Took an oath for what?
A tense confrontation unfolds at the New York Public Library as officers from the Midtown South precinct, led by Lieutenant Fontaine, attempt to forcibly remove a citizen simply for filming. The recorder repeatedly raises a sharp question: can a library policy supersede the United States Constitution? Are the police enforcing the law or merely shielding the feelings of public employees? Let us examine the fine line between administrative policy and civil liberties in this situation. Remember to follow ID Refusal 101 for practical legal insights, and extend a sincere thanks to the original creator for this valuable footage. Please follow their channel to support them.
Welcome to ID Refusal 101. We're here to arm you with legal knowledge to protect yourself. Subscribe now to know your rights and how to assert them. And now, enjoy the video.
Okay, yeah. I told you, sir, I know the rights that you have. I just want you to go down and speak to the first floor. They can spray it to you.
And I was.
Yeah.
I was on my way there, but
Right.
I'm not gonna rush. You know what I mean?
Hey, how's it going? Listen, so their policy is you can't record in here.
You're NYPD now? You're NYPD now?
Always been. Listen,
No.
You have to leave because
Oh, I
you're
know
not allowed
you.
to record in here.
You wanna read their policies?
Their policies that you cannot record in
The
here.
first
and
line.
Their staff is asking us to
I
remove you,
remember you.
and I don't remember you. I don't know.
I remember you.
Oh, that's nice. I hope you like me. Time to go. All right?
Why would I need to leave? I have a right to be here and I'm conducting business.
No, you're not conducting business. And the
I
thing
am.
is that you have to go through.
Read the policy. Right there. I'm handing it to
He
you.
just told me.
Who is he?
The security guard, the head security guard said that you need to leave, and they have a right to kick you out.
Photography and photocopying policy, right? I'm gonna read it to you because if you violate my rights,
Why?
you can't say
Sir,
that
they don't want
you didn't
They
know.
want you here. That's our job.
It's no
I don't-
negotiation. It's
yeah.
no.
So you could just ask anybody to leave a public
They
building
want you
just
to leave.
because.
Yes.
They want you to.
They
What
said
if I
they've
was-
gotten complaints from every staff member on every single floor that you're recording them and you're being a nuisance, and you're not allowed to do that inside
How
this
am I being a
library.
nuisance?
You have to leave.
How am I being a
You are recording them,
nuisance?
and you are not allowed to do that inside
So
this building.
photography
Yes
is
or
a
no?
nuisance?
Sir,
Can I speak to your supervisor, please?
They can't record in here, right? You willing to? Nope. All right.
Read this. Handheld cameras are permitted.
Listen.
First
you have
line.
to
Handheld
leave.
cameras are permitted. This is their rules.
You have to. leave.
Why?
Why? Because you are not allowed.
What crime am I
You're
committing?
not part of any media. You do not have prior permission to record in here. You now have to leave.
I do
you
have
wanna
permission.
Step out civilly,
I wanna
or
speak
you
to your
wanna make this-
supervisor.
No problem. He's going to
Call
tell you
him.
the same thing.
No, he's
I'm
not.
Going to tell you.
He's going to honor his oath to the Constitution.
Let's make it bad.
I don't want to deal with you because I already got you on camera,
Go ahead.
cursing
Change it.
me
It's
out,
report
so I don't want to
haven't
deal with you.
cursed once.
I don't want to deal with you. I'd rather
No
deal with
problem.
somebody that I never had contact with. Because right now it seems like retaliation. You didn't investigate at all. You didn't do no investigation. You just went off of his
This
word,
guy
right?
wants you to respond here.
Why are you asking me to leave a public place I have a right to
They want
be?
you to leave, so you gotta leave.
Okay, what if they wanted me to smack myself? I got to smack myself?
No, that's different.
Right. I have a right to be here just like everybody else. I'm not being disorderly. I'm walking around peacefully recording. The public workers.
Listen, my lieutenant's on
Can
the
I
way.
can I
He's
record
gonna
you?
explain-
Can I
Yes,
record
have every
you? So
right
why
to
can't I
record
record
me.
the city workers?
They're not city workers.
They
They're
work.
they're
New York
library
is
workers.
funded.
They are security guards.
The public library is
We are
funded
the
by
police
tax
department. You
dollars.
record me all you want.
I can record government workers in the
You
course of their
can't record
duty.
inside here.
Read
No.
case law. You need to read case
Why?
law because
No.
you enforce the law.
My job right now
Do
is
your
to
job.
exit you out of this building.
Why? What crime did I
Because They
commit?
don't want you in here.
Why would they
you're
ask me to
being
leave?
disorderly. You're being
How?
a nuisance, and now you have other people watching.
How am I being a nuisance? How?
You're
By
refusing
simply
to
recording?
leave. They asked you to stop recording.
They never
multiple
asked me to
times.
leave. They never asked me
Really?
to leave.
Because I can ask him, and he can say the opposite.
I have on camera. Have you guys ever asked me to leave since I've been here? Have you asked me to leave? Have you asked me to leave since I've been here? Nope. First thing they said when I came in the building was you can record.
Listen, you can hang out here, wait. We don't
I'm
need
gonna
argue
wait
it.
for your
My lieutenant-
supervisor.
My lieutenant's going to be here.
Why
okay?
not honor your oath? Why not protect my
I'm
rights?
honoring my oath.
I'm in a
These
public
people-
building.
These nice men called me here, and they called us to escort you out of this building, and that's as far
Why
as I'm
would you-
concerned with
why would
today.
you escort me
We
out
don't
the
need to
building?
continue any more conversation.
The officers from Midtown South are engaged in a clear ID refusal scenario by failing to recognize fundamental civil liberties. Instead of conducting an independent investigation to determine if a crime has been committed, the police are blindly following staff complaints to eject the recorder. Under the First Amendment, citizens have a protected right to film government officials and public employees in the course of their duties in public spaces. The police behavior here suggests police misconduct as they attempt to reclassify a lawful activity as a public nuisance. The recorder is legally sound in demanding a supervisor and citing case law, correctly noting that the library is a tax-funded public institution. In such encounters, maintaining a strategic ID refusal regarding unlawful commands is crucial. You should calmly ask the officers to articulate a specific crime rather than just citing internal policies. Forcing a citizen to leave a public building while they are exercising their constitutional rights is a direct conflict between police discretion and the law. Always document the interaction to challenge such ID refusal tactics and potential violations of the Fourth Amendment regarding unreasonable seizures of your person and liberty.
You escort me out if I'm being disorderly, if I'm somewhere I'm not supposed to be, if I'm impeding business.
They said you were not allowed to record.
Can I finish my sentence?
Building, and quite
Can I finish my
honestly,
sentence?
I work with people in New York, and that's what they've asked me
Right,
to do
you work
here
for
today.
me. You work for me.
I also work for them.
You work for
So
me.
you understand that, right?
And they're not exercising their rights. I am.
Yeah. No,
Peacefully.
They are peacefully asking us to escort you out.
For what crime?
You're not allowed to record in here.
He just said I was. And it says right here on their policies.
He
Read their
He
policies.
actually just said you weren't allowed to record in
He
here.
doesn't know what he's talking about.
Listen, he's the head security guard as far as I'm
read the
concerned.
policy.
And we were asked to escort you out.
Read their policy.
I don't need to read their policy.
So I'm not
I don't
violating their
abide by
policy,
the
so why would you
library
ask me to
rules.
leave?
I abide by what the security
And I'm not
guards
breaking
say.
the law.
Listen, this is a civil matter, and
I don't want to talk to you no more
lieutenant's
because
on his way.
this is retaliation. You're trying to retaliate against me
Retaliate for what?
because I recorded you before. So
I don't remember you ever recording.
I remember you. I remember you. You work at Midtown South, right?
It's on my press bar.
Yeah, I didn't even look at that. I already know.
It's right here.
If I was somewhere I'm not supposed to be, if I was cursing people out, if I was being disorderly,
Listen, I'm just here to escort
every
you
time
out
I
because they
talk, you
asked
cut
me
me
to.
off.
Listen, like you said, you
Me
don't wanna
simply
speak, then don't
recording,
speak.
me recording is not a disturbance.
You're being a disturbance to these people.
How?
They asked you to leave. I don't know.
Because
Listen,
they
I
don't
wasn't
like
here
what I'm
all
doing.
day.
What if they didn't like my
don't
shirt?
really-
What if they didn't like my religion? You're gonna
Why
escort
is
me
your
out of a
religion
public
getting
building?
involved? This is
Because
just about
this
you
is a
recording
right.
inside
It's
the
called,
library.
it's called freedom of religion. So if I was praying
And the
here,
staff has asked you to leave.
Ma'am,
I don't know what more you want me to say
if
or
I was
do.
praying in this library and they didn't like that I was my religion, they wanted me out because I was praying. You gonna enforce their feelings? Or do I have freedom of religion?
Are you praying right now?
I wanted to.
So
I came to this library for
go
multiple
ahead and
reasons.
pray.
You gonna ask me to leave while I'm praying because they don't like my religion?
What is going on right here? We didn't find you praying.
I'm
You're here
going to pray
recording
before I
people.
leave. I came here to conduct
Listen,
business.
the only way
I
I'm
came
leaving-
here to utilize the library for its purposes.
The only way I'm leaving here right now is if my lieutenant tells me you can stay.
Why wouldn't I be able to stay? I'm not
That's
being
it.
disorderly. All I'm doing is walking around quietly recording the New York City public workers, which I have a right to do. I can record the government while you're at work.
You'll see what my lieutenant says, okay? How about that? Deal? And then
Sure,
if
that's
you
why I
think you're
asked for
good-
him.
And if you're good to stay, then I'll leave.
The
No problem.
Constitution and the law says I'm okay.
Constitution has
What
nothing
you
to do
swore
with
an oath
this
to do.
library. No.
What does the
This is-
Constitution have
this
to do
is
with?
business.
Does the Constitution have to do with your job?
Oh. This is.
Does the
listen, they just asked you
Constitution have to
leave.
do with your
This
job?
has nothing to do with the Constitution. This
It
is
does for
just
me.
us asking
It
you
does
to
for
leave
me.
Because they said you're being disorderly and they're not comfortable with you recording
Do you
inside
wanna-
here, and they said that you're not allowed to record inside here. We don't
Read
have
their
to.
policies. Read it. Read the first line. Read the first bulletin.
They just gave this to me. That last bullet point says
Let me
no
see.
photographs of the staff, other researchers, or certain reading rooms may be taken.
That's what.
Okay,
they're
they work for the
complaining about.
government. There's case law that I
It
can
doesn't
record
matter.
them.
It doesn't
That's part of their
matter.
policy,
That's what we're
and they
here
don't
to
wanna be
explain to you.
recorded.
They said that the staff members don't want you recording.
Okay, I'm still not committing a crime. I have a right to be in a public
And they
building.
have the right to escort you out.
Why would they do that if I'm conducting business?
But you're not anymore. They're asking you to
I
stop.
am though, because I still have to
If you
file
wanna stay in
complaints.
this- if you wanna stay in
I
this
still have to
private
file
time, you have to
complaints.
stop, though.
I still have to file complaints, and I still have to do a FOIA request.
You want
And I still want to pray before I leave.
How do you file a complaint?
On the first floor.
First.
Circulation desk, they'll hand them a piece of paper and
Do you want to go to the first floor?
I was going there before you guys came.
Well, listen, I have no problem you filing a complaint.
If I was committing a crime, then you have a right to escort me out.
They're just
This
trying
is a
to
public
enforce our
building.
policy. This
Yes.
is
You cannot put
literally
policy
we're
over
showing it
law.
to you.
You cannot put policy over law. What if the policy said no black people? You want to enforce that?
That's
You
not
can't
their
put policy over law.
That's not going to happen.
The,
and
the
that's
government
not their
can't make
policy.
the government
Listen,
can't
you
make
wanna go
policies
a-
that
you
violate the
wanna
law
make- you wanna
or
go
the
make a complaint
Constitution.
right now? 'Cause we'll walk
Yeah,
down
I'm
with you.
going
Come on.
there. You put policy over law? Since when?
The conflict reaches a critical point as Midtown South officers attempt to elevate internal library policy above the Constitution, a textbook example of police misconduct. The recorder delivers a powerful defense of the First Amendment, asserting that the right to film in public spaces cannot be stripped away by vague administrative policies. The officers' claim that the Constitution has nothing to do with their job is a profound legal error and a violation of their oath of office. Throughout this interaction, the recorder employs a strategic ID refusal by declining to comply with unlawful orders derived from staff preferences rather than criminal statutes. He correctly argues that if policy could supersede the law, basic rights like freedom of religion would be equally vulnerable. This highlight reinforces a vital ID refusal principle. You are not required to forfeit your liberty or provide identification without reasonable suspicion of a specific crime under the Fourth Amendment. The police are legally in the wrong by attempting to enforce a civil matter through criminal intimidation. In any ID refusal scenario, remember that government policies cannot bypass the supreme law of the land. Stand your ground and demand that officers articulate a legal basis for their actions.
I've been caught in libraries in every 5 boroughs, all 5 boroughs. And it's not a problem because it's not against the law. You swore to protect my rights. You're supposed to come here and enforce the law, not their policy.
This floor? One more floor?
Am I being detained?
No, you're not in cuffs. No, you're not.
So I'm
You're
free.
walking and going down to the
So I'm
front
free.
door. No, you
Am I
have
being
to leave.
detained?
You have to leave.
Am I
Being
detained for a
means-
crime?
Being detained means you're being stopped and you're under investigation.
Am I being detained for a crime?
I just explained to you, you're not being detained. You do
All
have
right,
to
then,
leave.
so that means I'm
Are you
free,
listening
right?
to anything she's
You're not
I
listening
feel
to
like
what
she's
I'm saying.
explaining things
Am I
clear to you,
detained
and you're
for a
like
crime?
doing the runaround.
Come on.
Am I detained for a
Come on.
crime?
We're gonna go downstairs and you can make a complaint.
You can go wherever you want. I'm free. I'm not detained.
We are going downstairs and you can either leave or you can go make a complaint. They don't want you in here. They have a right to not have you in here. If you want to take that up civilly, go right ahead and you can make a complaint and start that process. However, their policy says right here, no.
I don't care about their
staff,
policy, bro.
other researchers,
I don't care about their
or
policy, bro.
may be taken.
I'm not breaking
That's
the law.
exactly what you're doing in here.
I'm not
And
breaking
they
the
have a
law.
right to escort you out because you
No, they
are
don't.
exactly violating-
No, they don't.
You're violating the
No, they
staff
don't.
members.
I have a constitutional right to record in public. It's called the First Amendment. It's called the First Amendment. You know what the Constitution is? The highest law of the land. You can't put a fucking library's policy over the Constitution. Are you crazy? You swore over to the Constitution. You ain't swear over to the library's policy. And if they deny me public services, I'm gonna sue them. If you violate my rights, I'm gonna sue you. You ain't swear over to the library's policy. You forgot what your oath is to? The Constitution. Smug ass. Took an oath for what? Where's your lieutenant at so I can speak to him?
He's on his way. He's on another job.
He probably has more pressing matters than somebody exercising their rights in a public building. Listen, what? Are you gonna honor your oath?
It is what it is. I'm
So what
honoring my
is it?
oath. They
No,
asked
it's
me
not.
to escort you out.
Let me ask you a
Right here,
question.
You violated their policy.
Let me
Yes
ask you
or
a
no?
question. Can you put that
Yes
policy
or
over the
no?
law?
Did you not violate their policy that's right here? circled
What's
and
higher,
starred for
that
you?
policy or their law?
This is their right. This is their building. This is their
This is
establishment.
our building. It's the people's building.
Their establishment,
It's a people's
and they have
building.
a right to escort
It's
you
a
out.
public
now,
building.
I'm here to do this civilly.
I pay
and I don't wanna
taxes to
force
be in
you
this
out of here,
building.
okay? My lieutenant's pulling up. Is that him right there? No,
Well, he
that's
could
not
come
him.
find me.
That's not him. That's traffic with the lights on.
You put policy over law?
I'm putting them right now.
Of course you do.
This is my job.
Of course you do.
This is
Of
what I'm
course
here for.
your job is to enforce the law.
Do you want to make a complaint?
Your job is to enforce the
Do you wanna
law.
make a
Is there a law
complaint?
being broken right
Do you
now?
want to come?
What law am I breaking?
Do you want to make a complaint?
Yeah,
while we wait
don't.
for my
Yeah, avoid that
lieutenant?
question.
Come on.
Avoid that question. What law am I
I've
breaking?
already answered you multiple times.
What
You're
law am
being
I breaking?
disorderly. You're not
How?
under arrest. You are not
How am I
under
being
arrest.
disorderly, ma'am?
Because you're
I'm
violating
recording?
their policies.
Photography
right here,
isn't a crime
right here.
in
Look,
public.
No photographs of the staff, other
Photography
researchers,
isn't
or
a
certain
crime
meeting
in
rooms
public,
may be taken.
and you can't
wanna
turn
know
photography
every
into.
Why'd you show us that piece
You
of
can't
paper?
turn
Now that
photography
we
into a
pointed
crime.
that out, now it doesn't
You
matter.
can't
Now
to
the
show
piece
you
of paper
how
means nothing.
because I record in libraries all over the city.
You're contradicting
Because I have the right
yourself.
to.
You're contradicting yourself.
No, I'm not. I'm following the law.
Yes, you are.
The
This is
law
not
that
it.
you swore to protect. You enforce the law. You enforce
what we're
policies.
The situation escalates as the recorder employs a persistent ID refusal strategy by questioning his legal status. He poses the critical question, am I being detained for a specific crime? When the officers admit he is not detained, yet continue to force his removal, they create a blatant legal contradiction. This behavior points toward retaliation and police misconduct as the officers prioritize library policy over their constitutional mandates. Under the First Amendment, filming in a public library is a protected activity and cannot be reclassified as disorderly conduct simply based on staff discomfort. The recorder is legally correct in reminding the officers of their oath to the Constitution and rejecting the notion that internal policies can override civil liberties. In any encounter, mastering ID refusal and demanding that police articulate a criminal violation rather than a civil policy breach is the ultimate defense. The officers are clearly in the wrong, attempting to blur the lines between policy and law to suppress a citizen's rights. Maintaining an ID refusal stance in the face of such intimidation is essential to holding law enforcement accountable to the Fourth Amendment standards of reasonable suspicion.
So what law am I breaking? What law am I breaking?
disorderly.
How? By
Oh, look, the
recording?
lieutenant is right here.
Okay. Is he going to help me file my complaint?
He keeps saying he's violating his rights, that we're violating his rights because he's clearly breaking their policy that says no photographs of the staff, other researchers, or certain reading rooms may be taken. And he's saying we're violating his constitutional right that he's allowed to record in here and their policy doesn't matter. And he requested you because
How you
we're
doing?
violating his rights.
All right.
Or this is what I said. I said you can't put their library policy over the law. I'm not breaking the law, which means I have a right to be here. It's a public building.
Okay.
My taxes fund this building. Do I not have a right to be here?
Okay. The representatives at the library doesn't want you at this location.
Why? Because I'm exercising my rights in public.
You have to
I'm conducting business in this building, and once I finish my business, I was going to leave.
I know they don't want you here anymore.
I have to file a complaint. I have the right to redress my government.
I know, but you have to do that. If you could probably file a complaint outside, but you have to leave. They don't want you here.
Am I breaking the law?
Well,
Nobody asked me to leave. You guys are the first person that came up to me.
you have to leave.
So if I don't leave, I'm going to get arrested?
Well, yeah.
I need to hear you say that. If I don't leave this building, what's going to happen?
They're going to prosecute you.
You're going to arrest me?
No, the New York City Public Library is going to prosecute you.
Okay, so I have a reasonable amount of time to leave, don't I?
We're actually now. Can you please leave?
Okay, I can't leave through that way. I got to leave through this way.
Which way? That way?
And I still need the information that I came here to get.
I'll give you
Are
the
you going to help me with that?
Yep. Whatever you need outside.
All right. I need all your cards
Yeah, come on.
and all of your names. So you're saying that you could just trespass people from public for no crime?
They don't want
No
you at this
crime.
location.
No crime. It doesn't matter what they want. I'm
They
not
don't
breaking
want
the
you.
law.
You have to leave, sir.
You going to help me get my
I'll help you outside,
information?
absolutely.
So you're just going to violate my rights over a policy, right? That's fine. I'll be back. So am I trespassed from this location?
Well, no, you have to leave.
Am I
They-
trespassed from this location?
You won't be arrested if you leave.
I'm asking you a question. Can I come back to this location? Am I
I'll
trespassed?
speak to them if they want you back in there. I'll ask you right now.
It's a public building, right?
It's New York City Public Library. But you still gotta
Right.
follow
New
the
York
rules.
City Public Library. I have to follow the law.
You still have to follow their rules.
What if they had a rule that said no black people? You gonna enforce that?
Listen.
You can't put that over the law, and you can't
guess
put that
what?
over the
If they call
Constitution.
911, guess what?
Do I not have a right to record in public
Which
buildings?
information do you need, sir?
I need to file a complaint. I need all of your cards.
Okay. What's the complaint? You said you want to file a complaint. What's the complaint?
Sure do.
Okay, what's the complaint? New York City Public Library?
Yep, and the Securitas too.
Okay.
And I need all their names.
My name is Lieutenant Fontaine.
I need your card, please.
All right, give my name right here. F-O-N-T-A-I-N-E.
Okay.
Want to write it down?
No, I want your card.
Okay. You
I want to know who's violating my rights here today.
you want to know who's violating your
Yeah,
rights? Okay.
because you don't put policy over the Constitution. I have a constitutional right to be caught in public. Many case laws have stated that. Supreme Court has ruled that.
No problem.
I know you don't give a fuck. It is what it is. I need your card, ma'am.
Lieutenant Fontaine arrives on the scene, yet instead of upholding constitutional rights, he continues the unlawful removal based on internal library policy. This is a classic ID refusal by public officials who refuse to acknowledge supreme civil liberties. The recorder remains firm, asserting that no policy is permitted to supersede the law or the First Amendment. He demands the business cards and ID information of Fontaine and his colleagues to document this instance of police misconduct for future legal action. Despite threats of prosecution for trespass, the recorder maintains a strategic ID refusal by questioning the legal basis of a trespass order in a public space. Forcing a citizen to leave a tax-funded building while they are exercising their right to address the government is a severe violation of the Fourth Amendment. Remember, when ordered to leave without committing a crime, always demand officer identification, just as the recorder did with Fontaine. Never allow administrative policies to crush your legal rights in any ID refusal encounter. Standing your ground and recording the interaction is the only way to ensure accountability against government overreach. Summarizing the incident at the New York Public Library, we observe a significant gap in the legal training of the Midtown South officers. In terms of behavioral grading, the recorder earns an A grade for his profound understanding of the First Amendment and his exemplary ID refusal tactics under pressure. Conversely, Lieutenant Fontaine and the assisting officers receive a D grade as they prioritized internal policy over the Constitution, demonstrating clear police misconduct. The core legal principles involved are the right to record in public and the protection against unreasonable seizure under the Fourth Amendment. When facing a similar encounter, practice a disciplined ID refusal. Demand that the officer articulate a specific crime, reasonable suspicion, and always secure their name and badge number, just as the recorder did with Fontaine. Never allow ambiguous policies to strip away your civil liberties. Follow ID Refusal 101 to arm yourself with essential legal knowledge, and please support the original creator for providing this invaluable footage. Knowledge is your best defense in any ID refusal scenario.
Knowing your rights isn't being difficult, it's being prepared. If this video helped you understand your legal rights, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment below, tell us your story, ask a question, or suggest the next encounter we should break down. This is ID Refusal 101, where we teach the basics of your right. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.